out how excited they were about getting this win, right?
This is our day.
It gives you momentum. It gives you something to build upon. And we'll see if TL can take that and roll that into a series win, or if TSM is going to kind of stabilize and be able to play it out.
Well, into bans for game number 2. We'll have to see how the two teams adapt to this. TSM, they banned away the Lucian from Double Lift last time, but he had absolutely no problem playing the Ezreal instead, putting the team on his back along with Reignover. And there's the ban against the Olaf. TSM really respecting what Reignover did in that first game.
I think rightfully so. And Reignover is so good on these tanks. And one like Olaf not only has good ganking potential early on in the game, but it has strong dueling, actually has high base damage values. So I think it fits Reignover very well. When you're in the right place in the right time, in the early game on Olaf, you can take over.
Shen and Rumble and Camille all going to be banned away again this game, as they were last game in the first rounds of bans. Side's going to be swapped up a little bit, but
Lulu could be another target for TL. I mean, essentially when you're red side, you're banning what you think will be the first pick for TSM. Camille, Rumble are the two obvious top lane first picks. I do think that Lulu is an option here. It depends how worried you are about something like a Syndra for Bjergsen or some of these AD carries. But I do think that there's a number of reasonable options as this final game.
We did see the Lulu have success in game number 1. He was able to keep Piglet alive. He was able to keep Double Lift alive a couple different times. It's a very strong pick right now. There's a reason everybody is picking it.
Yeah, it really is. I think that there's some other supports that can slot into that role pretty well here too. It is going to be the Lulu banned out, but obviously, Karma, pretty powerful, fills similar role. I think that Nami actually has a lot of laning strength, and I think that in the carry AD type roles, if you want to go hyper carry, if we want to see things like Kog'Maw coming out, I actually think that Janna has a place too.
Could potentially see that. We'll have to wait though, as the first pick for TSM going to be that support that's been popular pretty much this entire split. Malzahar locked in.
I mean, it's theoretically possible it gets flexed to mid lane, but I don't see it happening almost ever. There has to be some crazy reason to be able to do that, and TL can just lock in a very standard top lane pick. We have seen this flex a time or two to support, so this is something you always have to kind of keep in the back of your mind, but definitely expecting this to go to Lorlo. He's played Nautilus time and time again.
Last game he was up against it. This game he's going to be the one piloting the big tanky whatever Nautilus is, and Rengar locked in for Reignover too.
Yeah, for TSM, I think that banning away Graves and forcing the Rengar pick is actually pretty smart, because Svenskeren will be happy to take that if TL does not. And at the same time, you're probably pretty happy to have Reignover on the Rengar, where he hasn't had a lot of success. He has not looked as good in general. I actually think that if you're TL, you should be sticking to comfort. And to me, drafting something like the Gragas would have been a more intelligent decision in this situation, simply because I think you need to play to your player's strengths and not necessarily just to kind of the meta tier.
Absolutely. Sometimes you might shine on something that's not meta. You just got to follow your heart. That's the dream.
There you go. Just follow your heart.
That's the dream right there.
Hit him with the crit speech.
Yeah. I don't quite have one of those speeches lined up, but it's still it's words to live
game
by.
Game 3 if we get there.
It's words to live. All right, yeah. Game 3 we'll do a follow your heart speech. But Svenskeren locking in the Lee Sin, and they're also going to be picking up the Ashe for Wild Turtle.
Interesting that they're going right back to that Ashe, looking like Piglet wants to lock in support there for Matt. So we do have Zyra, we have strong support to match up very well, I think, against the Malzahar. Turtle is taking a pretty utility-focused AD carry, and Doublelift is going to have some options. I wouldn't be surprised to see TSM try to target at least some of those. I think that Caitlyn and Ezreal are two that could be taken down off the chopping block. But at the same time, I mean, Doublelift has a big champion pool, and they may not feel like they're going to get enough out of focusing those roles.
Gragas banned away by Team Liquid. They did pick up the top laner and jungler that their opponents played last game, so they're saying, hey, we're not going to let you do the same mirror that we're kind of doing. So getting rid of that one. Caitlyn banned away by TSM.
Yeah, it's not too surprising. Makes sense. I think the Caitlyn Zyra are very strong. Ezreal Zyra also quite strong here. You could take Doublelift off those. Still would have a lot of options. Varus is still quite meta, just with a different sort of build than before, like lethality. It's just if TSM thinks that that is going to be something that they can really exploit. Because I do think if you're not playing, kind of like a move block AD carry, there still will be Lucian available if you wanted to go for that. It's harder to actually fully take over a game because you have to play the fights more slowly. You have to play more carefully than when you're on something like Ezreal or the Lucian, who can kind of dash in and out of fights.
Well, the second ban for TSM is going to be Cassiopeia. Liquid now needing to pick up a mid laner and an AD carry to see which one they decide to opt for first.
I mean, Orianna is up. They may want to leave their mid lane pick for last. So that would be the traditional choice on red side. Look for that counter pick against Bjergsen. Try to get Piglet a good matchup here. And the Ezreal is going to be a strong laner, is going to be safe, and we've seen what you can do from ahead. Yeah,
Doublelift demonstrated his talent, his capability on the champion. Not really too surprised to see them pick it up again, especially into the same AD carry matchup as game 1. TSM's really going to need to shift gears for this as Vlad is locked in. Thinking about that top laner, Fiora being hovered.
And speaking of pretty safe mid laners, I do think that Vladimir is quite strong here. There are a lot of options for Piglet. Something that I've been kind of expecting to see come back into the meta a little bit more with the rise of Vladimir is the Kassadin. I think that Kassadin has room to move back in. Not necessarily will Piglet be comfortable playing that, and there's still things like Orianna available, so he has a number of options. Ahri is up. He's played that quite a bit. So Piglet has a lot of options here, and it's going to be a lot about what he thinks works best with his champion pool and the team composition. But I do think that Orianna is both safe and synergizes well with the Nautilus and the Rengar.
But they picked Talia. They're going to lock that in for the second time. He did not have an impressive game number 1 on it, but apparently they're saying, okay, let's give it another shot.
I do find that a little bit surprising that they are going right back to the Talia. Obviously, one poor game on it does not mean he's bad at the champion by any means, but I think that Orianna is super standard, works extremely well with the composition, and I think that Vladimir has the potential to once again burst down Talia pretty heavily. Yes, if you get ahead on the Talia, you can be pretty impressive and zone this guy out, but we've seen how much damage Proto Belt Vladimir's can do. You complete the Proto Belt, you throw down the ultimate, you hit the Proto Belt, you ignite, and you can 100 to 0 someone like a Talia.
Not a super tanky lineup overall for TSM this game. I mean, you've got a Lee Sin, that's not a true tank. You've got a Renekton, which is more of a bruiser. Vlad's going to be about as tanky as either one of those are with his pool and everything. So TSM really needing to make sure that they don't fall behind early this game, because we know how those no-tank comps can go when you do.
Yeah, definitely fair to say. That said, this is not like an Olaf Nautilus. This is Rengar, which is a semi-tank in and of himself.
Right.
So they have really the one true tank in the Nautilus in the top lane. And you could say that the Vladimir is a little bit more tanky than Talia, and the Lee generally builds a bit more tanky than Rengar and things like this. So I think it'll be okay. But I do certainly agree, if Nautilus gets going with a super strong Nautilus, Ezreal will have so much ability to play around in these fights and really try to take over like last game.
Oh, 100%. Lorlo is the one true blue tank on the map in this game. That's going to be the guy that if he gets out of control, gets 3 or 4 items, has a Guardian Angel in there, it's just going to be this moving wall.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the tag team jungle top lane that TSM drafted last time. We didn't really see it get going, but we have seen this pair showcased many times throughout the season. And if Rengar plus Nautilus can really get going, they can take over games, and especially against someone like an Ashe who's so vulnerable to that.
Eyes on Turtle this game to have an improved performance. Team Liquid moving Piglet into the bottom lane just like game 1, but this time they may find something with it.
Yeah, they may, and I don't know if TSM's coaches would have actually briefed them on the fact that this happened, because we do see Malzahar moving up, and they actually may find Malzahar if we can go down to the bot lane. We'll see if that does actually happen.
Matt moving forward.
He could go for root first. He could look for this.
Wants to see if he can find it. Biofrost dropping the crabs. Exhaust going to be used. Matt going to be forced back, but Piglet is here, so TSM has to retreat. Matt eating a lot of damage in that trade.
Yeah, they do just trade summoners. Actually pretty good for TSM in the end. It's the exhaust traded for the heal of Doublelift. I think pretty even considering the fact that they face check into Piglet being down there as well.
One thing I do want to comment, talking about those summoner spells, there are some key differences this game. Ignite on Bjergsen versus the Ghost on Piglet, and then bottom side, Biofrost is going with Exhaust, but Matt is going for the kill potential with the Ignite.
And more people are going for that Ignite Vladimir because he actually does have an incredible amount of the burst damage at a relatively early stage. When you hit level 6, when you have things like your Proto Belt, again, obviously you're not going to have that by 6, but a little bit later on, you can do some pretty incredible combos. And Haunts are warding up and trying to keep track of Rainover.
It's one thing that both teams are going to need to do this game. Both of these junglers have a lot of playmaking potential, Lee Sin especially. So keeping track of the other guy, always being on top of what lane he's likely to head to next could be the difference between getting snowballed on or not.
Yeah, it really can. That's often the case in pro play, regardless of who the junglers are. And I think, we saw the power of the jungle last game from Rainover. Being able to monitor where your opponent is can allow lanes to snowball advantages, because if you don't know where they are, you cannot really play super aggressive. You can't press that advantage. This is actually a pretty atypical jungle route from Reignover, and a super smart early ward does track that. Most often, people are going red and they're actually skipping the golems and going down to bot side. So Reignover is trying to do a different sort of path here, probably looking for a relatively early gank on Haunter, but the fact that Haunter got that early ward means that not only do they have the safety to take away the blue buff from their opponents, but he should be safe against any ganks.
You can even see the pings. Normally when players see the enemy jungler in his jungle with a ward, it's a normal ping onto him, but it's question marks from TSM saying, what the hell is Reignover actually doing up here?
Yeah, and I mean, there's potential for Haunter to still die, obviously. He would have to be pretty silly to actually die after having spotted him out. And Reignover is pretty low, partially because he didn't actually get a leash at the race, which does make that camp pretty vicious. So he's not even going to be able to go for a gank super early, and Haunter should be able to have this pushed in and back off before anything could happen.
Reignover trying to steal away the blue buff from TSM, recognizing that his is likely already gone.
That's actually super smart. The fact that he knows, just based on how the pace of the game has gone, that Lee Sin is likely not there. That said, if Sven went straight to the blue, he would have actually met him there and perhaps killed him. He may still be able to do it in time, but doesn't look like it.
Reignover was thinking about flashing the wall there if he had to, if that Lee Sin was going to take a step closer. Fortunately for him, he doesn't have to extend that summoner spell. Gets the buff and gets out, and Turtle's going to be bound up by the roots. Heal's going to be popped. Liquid trying to make this happen, but the crowds
go down.
Flash away from Matt, barely going to live through the malefic visions. Those crabs are nothing to mess with.
Yeah, that anytime you engage into the Malzahar and you're not actually just poking him, those crabs will spawn up. You're going to get so much damage down when you're being aggressive. That is why you need to poke them out. You need to kite back, kill them off, play it like that, or you can risk this happening to them. And with Doublelift having blown his flash at level 1, that was actually super close to Matt going down.
Bjergsen eating a little bit of damage from Piglet.
Oh, here's Sven. They want to dive.
Scaring top side. Lorlo gonna have to be careful here, tries to flash away. Haunter takes the turret aggro. It does not matter. First blood for TSM.
Good try from Lorlo, but he would have actually needed to flash even earlier, probably avoid that stun, and the only hope of him trading back a kill is actually getting his auto attack root on the player who is then going to pull aggro. So if you get your auto attack off on Haunter before he hits his stun, then you may be able to trade back a kill. But that said, first blood is going to go over to Lee.
Lorlo now back in the lane, expending the TP for that 20 CS to 36. We talked a lot in game number 1 about the lane advantage the Doublelift had over Turtle, but right now it's Haunter showing Lorlo how top lane goes down.
And at least for Lorlo, he had his TP up. If you die in that situation without TP, your
lane's over.
Your time in the game is often just over. That's when you just type in the FF.
Yeah, FF20.
He did have TP. And the question now becomes, can they actually repeat gank this? Because that is super impactful. If you can kill off a top laner who has no TP, they could look to prep this for when Haunter hits level 6. If you go up with a level 6 Renekton plus level 6 Lee Sin, it could be very, very tough for Lorlo to survive that dive in a couple minutes.
Even as a Nautilus, there's just so much damage potential between those two, not to mention the positioning aspect of the Lee Sin kick.
And the tankiness, right? The extra HP that you get from that ultimate when you pop it as Renekton allows you to pull off turret dives that you wouldn't otherwise be able to do.
We've seen Renektons run away with games before in this split of 2017, this spring split, but we've also seen him just, whenever he's popular, he's so strong.
And you can see Lee is already pathing up towards the top side, looking to perhaps get some vision down and set up for a potential dive in a couple minutes, or at least to try to spot out that Rengar to allow Haunter to play aggressive like this.
Svenskeren still a good ways away from level 6, barely past level 5 right now. Who will win? That's looking starkly different from what we saw in game number 1, Azael. Team Liquid inspiring their fans to get out there and vote, almost up to even now with TSM, but TSM, I mean, that's one of the strongest fan bases in North America. They're probably going to have the fan vote.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny in this situation because I bet a lot of TSM fans are actually still voting for TL because they're fans of Doublelift, who they see as kind of that TSM guy. But Turtle in trouble here.
Turtle in some trouble yet. Again, going to be firing off those focus fires. Doublelift looking to make the kill, and he has got it in the 2v2. Biofrost trying to escape. He'll get out, but Doublelift again showing Turtle what's up.
Turtle actually flashed in to try to finish off that kill there. Extremely dangerous move and does not pay off. I don't know that he really had I don't know if he could have gotten out, but we'll have to see it again. That seemed like a mistake to me.
Oh, I'm sure we'll have the replay here in just a moment, but Doublelift is just showing no mercy this game.
And here it is once again. I do think that Zyra certainly has the edge in this sort of matchup, and Turtle already low, the Ignite's already on him. Yes, I don't think he could have actually got out in this situation, so I think that he's trying to expend that summoner to at least trade a kill back. So I respect that flashing back wouldn't have actually got him anything, but he's not going to be able to do it. Nice route from Matt, and Doublelift and Matt already out to a big advantage.
57-43 in the farm department again as well. Just Wild Turtle.
And it's the kill when you're sitting on Tyr and Cole again, right? And that is a really
you shouldn't be able to do that.
You can't really underrate that because it means he's already going to have this gold advantage. You give him a couple minutes, he gets that extra cash in from Cole. And that's going to mean a really big lead for Doublelift, assuming nothing crazy happens before he cashes in.
I mean, this is the same AD carry matchup we saw in game number 1, and it's currently demonstrating that it's going to be going the same way. Yet again, Doublelift more than happy to play the Ezreal into this Ashe because Wild Turtle is just being caught off guard. I mean, the burst.
They certainly are, and Reignover and Piglet, both being level 6 now, they could do a very easy 4-man bot. Talia ultimate's down there, Reignover comes in through the lane. That's something that TSM is going to have to play very carefully around, and it's seeming a lot like last game, where TL's focus is likely going to be around bot side, and TSM is just kind of ignoring that bot side and trying to focus around mid lane, around top lane.
Svenskeren hanging around in the enemy jungle, stealing away the red buff from his opponent. Still big farm lead in mid as well. Bjergsen up 20 compared to Piglet, who is not really showing significant changes compared to his Talia play in game 1.
No, he's not at all, and this has really been the trend. There have been some standout games, like you said, from Piglet, but in general, he has some of, if not the worst CSD in the league. He's almost always very far behind in farm, and going up against someone like Bjergsen, that is what you expect.
Well, I mean, when you switch the roles, obviously you're still playing the same game, so as it goes on, you still know how everything works, you know about the macro decisions, but it's those smaller laning interactions, the mechanics, the power windows, just very subtle differences that the enemy mid laner has had years of experience on, and you might not be clued into.
And I think specifically in mid lane, there's so many little micro interactions about your positioning for trades, where you should stand exactly to best avoid ganks and to be able to retaliate best on your opponent without exposing yourself. And someone like Bjergsen is a master of that. And it's certainly understandable that Piglet would be at a disadvantage.
Because Bjergsen is on that Vlad, it also means Piglet's chances for solo kill potential are just going to be nothing.
Especially when you're falling behind to a Vlad who's supposed to kind of have trouble in those early levels. Like in a matchup like this, Talia should be shoving Vlad in under his turret in the early levels before you have CDR, before you have ranks in those spells, but it never really happened. Piglet never even got the early advantage, and I think that this matchup just gets worse for him as time goes on, and now they're looking for the dive.
Piglet gonna be kicked back, Chemo played down, the burst comes through, and that's gonna be all she wrote, just letting it tick with the casual fade away. They didn't even bother looking at him, man. They just turned their backs and walked off with the 300 gold, knowing it was gonna be in their pockets in just a minute. Lorlo defending underneath the top side here against Haunter. This has been the story of top lane too, 104 to 71 CS. Lorlo is just not there.
No, it's looking really good for TSM here on the top side. Both their solo lanes getting significant advantages, and Svenskeren executing that gank very well. With Piglet not having flash, to be fair to him, there's not really much he can do about it, but still, clean gank from TSM.
Yep, very well played. That's the power of the lead. That's what we were talking about with the playmaking potential. Svenskeren knows his champion.
Oh, God.
And now TSM has got themselves turret first blood and a 2,000 gold lead 10 minutes in.
Yeah, and I didn't even realize how low that top lane turret was actually getting that early on. Essentially a 1v1 turret take this early is devastating for the Nautilus, because it's okay if you have a bit of a farm deficit, if you can hold to that turret and kind of stabilize the lane. But the fact that he gets the solo gold, he gets put this far ahead, means he can just take over.
Reignover bottom side. Matt going forward, looking to find the root.
TP
Finds the
coming in.
Thorns instead. TP going to be channeled. Turtle taken low. Doesn't get taken down. The TP is canceled. TSM keeps their bottom lane alive.
Yeah, Lorlo able to cancel that out, so TL looking like they may be able to trade back this turret. Not quite on this wave, but should be able to grab it on the next one. So TSM is actually roaming their members down, jungle and mid, to try to prevent this. So TL's got to get out.
Doublelift is very low. Ultimates used by both Biofrost and Turtle in that fight, so they won't have either of those engage mechanisms. Svenskeren going to be finding Piglet there in the jungle. Piglet wanting nothing to do with this one, backing himself away, recognizing that Bjergsen is close enough to immediately get involved in that fight.
I'm pretty disappointed that TL has not actually coordinated the Talia and the Rengar to make a play on a specific lane. The Talia, so much of the power is in this roaming capability that you have with this ultimate, right? We have not seen Piglet even attempt one yet this game, even though he has been level 6 for quite some time. And I think that, especially with the Rengar, who can come in and follow up on that, you need to be looking for opportunities to play around the map, or you're simply going to be weaker than your opponent's champions.
That's the expectation. When you draft the Talia, you're saying, okay, he wants to roam top, he wants to roam bottom, but Piglet has just not been able to do it. 0, 1, and 0. is not what this champion is drafted for.
Exactly. I mean, simply put, you have no combat ultimate, so you must move around the map to have value from that. Well, and with Bjergsen at the Proto Belt now, this is the key point. If he actually gets close to Piglet, he simply needs to hit his ultimate, Empowered Q, the Ignite, and the Proto Belt, and Piglet will die from full health.
And that's the danger with the Ignite. That's why Bjergsen's got it. So he has that kill potential, and Piglet is always under that threat. It's going to mean Piglet is very limited in what he can do if Bjergsen's anywhere nearby.
Exactly. I mean, anytime Bjergsen sees that opportunity, he can go for it. Because even if Piglet flashes away, if you've landed that combination of spells, he's already going to die.
Yeah, it happens really fast. I mean, you might be able to flash away, but the Hemo Plague, like we saw at the first kill they got onto him, it's just going to kill you at the end.
Yeah, exactly. Hemo Plague plus Ignite. Plus that Empowered Q is just so much damage alone. And the Proto Belt is pretty cool because it closes the gap, but it also helps to add into that burst combo.
Rainover gonna walk into a really unfriendly brush here. Haunter grabbing a little bit of damage onto him with Call the Meek. Piglet coming over the wall. They're looking to make the fight happen here, but Biofrost is there. Lorlo gonna be showing up too. Rainover getting himself away from the ultimate. Now the fight is restarted. Haunter going to be bursted low. Can they actually get him? Doublelift made his way into the fight now too. Bjergsen going to be finding the 4-man Hemo Plague. Rainover taken so low, not going to be able to be brought down just yet. Bjergsen still looking at his own Doublelift off spin. Scaren's going to be taken so close to death, and Matt has got the kill.
They got the kill. It should have been a trade though. Bjergsen actually never ignited in the fight. He thought he had killed off Rainover with the Hemo Plague, so wanted to be greedy, save his summoner spell. He did not take into account the empowered W that came out from that Rengar, and saving that summoner spell cost Bjergsen a kill, means he'll come out a little bit ahead.
What a crazy fight for one kill. That was pretty much everybody. I was expecting some more bodies on the floor than just Finn Scaren, but
I thought it was going to go a lot worse for them, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
With Bjergsen having the ultimate ready, having that Proto Belt up, he's just at such a strong point in the game.
Just the way he bursted himself into the fight, got the 4-man Hemo Plague, you expect that to be just complete chaos for the enemy team, but Liquid kept it together. Played the fight out the way they needed to play it out to walk away with a small victory there, but this game could still go either direction off of the next big fight. Here's a replay of that one.
And they want to go into Haunter, but Haunter having the ultimate gives him all that extra HP, and his team is there pretty quickly. And the key thing is just going to be tracking Bjergsen. He wants to kill off Rainover because he's already pretty low. He waits very patiently, goes for the combo, does not ignite because the empowered W comes back up. That allows him to actually survive there. He has his W, heals back up, does survive.
That was only a 3-man Hemo Plague, my mistake. I thought it connected onto Piglet too, but it looks like it only got 3 members of Liquid still.
Yeah. It's still was well done, but this was a good fight for TL. The real concern is just that Bjergsen is getting so far ahead. If you look at the farm, if you look at the items, it gets super concerning because I think that Vladimir is one of the most powerful snowbally champions. If you can get really far ahead, you do incredible amounts of damage. It's hard to take you out because of your self-healing, so we'll see if they can actually do anything about this.
And those farm deficits that we mentioned earlier, they just keep getting bigger. 35 in the top lane, 45 in the mid lane. Piglet CSD at 15, average negative 14.
12. There's 10 teams.
There's 10 teams, and you're 12th. That means that
some subs are doing better.
Yeah,
than
there's some bad news going on there. But the worst part is he wishes it was negative 14 this game. It's negative 45.
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of how that has developed. To be fair, he has had some games where he is ahead, but he's also had some games where he's been blasted like this. A couple of them do stand out. Oh, there's Piglet. I think he's probably
the Hemo Plague and the Ignite. Haunter making sure it happens. Rainover now going to be stunned up, has to flash away. The burn gets him, and Haunter will make it 2 for 0.
The solo laners teaming up, and there's no way TL can stand up in that 2v2 right now. Doublelift is certainly the strongest member for them, but the kind of advantage that he has is not at the same level as the one for the top lane and the mid lane.
TSM grabbing their second turret of the game, that mid lane tier 1 to open up a little bit more of the map, bring them back up to above a 2,000 gold lead. This top half of the map is going right for them. Again, it's going to be all on Doublelift to carry Team Liquid through these hard times.
And it's just not the same kind of game that we saw last time. Yes, Doublelift is doing well in lane, but Rainover is not having an incredible game. He's 0-1-0. At this time last game, he had already taken over on Olaf, and Doublelift was so far ahead. And here is the potential of this burst combo from Bjergsen. This is not even the empowered Q, and it still was almost 100-0. If you do actually get the empowered Q, it doesn't even need Haunter's damage to come out, but then that burn, red buff from Haunter finishes off Rainover.
And you know, this goes back to what you talked about in Champions, like banning the Olaf away, taking away that tank potential from Reignover, and putting him on something like a Rengar that he hasn't shown as much capability with, that he hasn't shown as much mastery on. And it's very obvious the difference that he has between these two champions in this game.
Yeah, it certainly is. And while he's certainly not like completely out of the game or worthless or anything like that, he's just not taking over. And I think it's going to be very tough for Doublelift when you have two extremely powerful solo laners who are divers. It's hard to protect you because it's not even like a Lulu or something on this team to actually shield him up and help him bridge that gap. If he gets flashed on and stunned by Haunter, he probably dies before it ends if Bjergsen is there to follow up. So that's what he really has to worry about.
And remember, they don't have an exhaust either. Matt opted for the Ignite. So if either of those two make their way onto Doublelift, nothing's going to be mitigating that damage.
Oh, looking for the Talia roam here.
Weaver's wall bottom side.
Nope.
Not going to be finding anything, and they back away. No dice. Reignover popped the ultimate. That was, all right, just testing him, making sure.
Well, that said, you know, Zyra is still a strong disengage champion. So a lot of it is going to be about Zyra using the ultimate and the roots to disengage, and Piglet trying to get seismic shoves to keep him safe. So they do still have ways to peel for Doublelift, just a lot harder.
Oh, Piglet? Okay.
Ouch.
Matt? All right, back-to-back. Just free kills for TSM, grabbing two of them.
And that's at the same time as an Infernal, right? So that feels really bad. TSM is taking full control over both sides of the map. They're moving up their lines of vision. This is more the kind of game we expected from TSM up against TL. And
Reignover going to be kicked right back into TSM's waiting arms. They're able to find that one too. Lorlo now going to be forced back. Enchanted Crystal Arrow working its way onto him. It does not matter. The tier 2 will fall, and TSM is taking over this game in style.
Yeah, such a nice series of events there for TSM. Good kick in from Sven. Knows they have the damage to take out Reignover, and they pick up another kill. They pick up another turret, and Haunter just bullying out Lorlo. So Piglet actually knew that he was there, had seen him because his teammate was just fighting him, and then easy kill from Haunter. There's no armor whatsoever on Piglet, and just goes down so fast.
Haunter didn't even have his stun. He used it to trade with Lorlo, and he didn't need it to get the kill. And now he's got Rift Herald. Bjergsen going for the kill on the Doublelift. I don't think Doublelift's going to find the 1v1 again. This time, the Ignite's still ticking. Oh, barely walking away. True shot, barrage fired off, and he's got the kill onto Sven from downtown.
Nicely played. The heal barely keeping Doublelift alive. Again, Bjergsen did not get the empowered Q off. He's not able to do that. That is really the big damage. It's not as impactful as before. It's kind of been normalized a little bit in one of the most recent patches, but still, if you can hit that empowered Q, it's worth so much in that all-in.
Bjergsen is so dangerous to Doublelift too, because not only do you have Sanguine Pool to get away from the Stranglethorns or anything else that comes after you, even if they manage to catch you, you've got Zhonya's Hourglass now too. He completed that a couple of minutes ago. Those two put together makes Vladimir so incredibly difficult to actually punish without a massive investment.
And it's not even like Bjergsen is going to be weak in extended fights. Vladimir can continuously get off those spell rotations. Bjergsen is going for the CDR. This is just nice by Matt and Lorlo, tag teaming, landing all that crowd control to keep him still. And Haunter at the same time picking up another easy one on Piglet.
Interior crocodile alligator. Just cruising along, picking up these kills for free.
I mean, he's itemized very offensively, right? He's ahead, so he goes for Titanic plus Black Cleaver. This is the 2-item combo that you're ridiculously strong on, and having some health along with that means it's not even that easy to take you down with your ultimate.
Look at the difference between game 1 and this game for TSM. At 20 minutes, game number 1, they were down 1,500. Now they're up over 4,000. Doublelift and Bjergsen 1v1, and yet again, Doublelift. This is not the kind of matchup you're going to be walking away from. Bjergsen with the solo kill. Now Bio and Sven looking to chase down Reignover if they can. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Barely going to be sidestepped.
Nice little sidestep there from Reignover, gets him out. Doublelift is just trying to go for a big play here. I think he's fully aware of the state of this game and wanted to make something happen. Haunter in a 1v3.
1v3, he's a very tanky Croc. Looking to make it a 1-for-1. He does it, Haunter. Can he find 2? No, he can't, but still.
TSM is knocking down the base already. They're cracking the inhibitors 22 minutes in.
Yeah, Haunter's saying, all right, you want to get me? Fine. 3 guys, I'll take this fight. I'll kill one of you, and my team gets the base. Bottom lane inhibitor, also the juiciest one to cash in on because Baron is now live too.
Baron on the map means that it's going to be even harder for TL to protect that objective, and they're going to try to chase for some kills, but even if they catch up, I don't really see what they can do.
The Weaver's wall stuck Rainover into the terrain. He couldn't, Piglet had to cancel the wall because Rainover's like, I can't move.
An unfortunate series of events.
Unlucky, dude. Team Liquid, though, really, really not having the kind of game that they wanted to have to make this one a clean series. Down 7,000 gold after a very convincing game number 1. And that's kind of what we had to be thinking about going into game number 2 is, look, everybody thought TSM was going to just walk away with this. Game number 1, Liquid says, okay, we're actually going to be a contest here, but can they keep it up? And that momentum seems to be completely stopped.
Yeah, it certainly has been. Bjergsen now at 40% CDR with the Zhonya's. This is the time where you can rotate through your spells so quickly. You can spend your entire first rotation of spells, then use Zhonya's. You have a second pool generally coming up after that, and that's where it becomes almost impossible to kill off Bjergsen. You need to have enough burst to instantly kill him off if you're going to do it, and TL just doesn't really have that unless Bjergsen makes a mistake and gets seismic shoved.
Yeah, the fact that they have to deal with him while at the same time somehow keeping Doublelift alive, like, let's go into hypothetical land. Even if you kill Bjergsen, he's probably taking Doublelift with him.
And I mean, Hotzer is there too. There's so many threats right now that it's extremely difficult for them to try to get something done. And TSM gonna make the smart play, control the top side of the jungle. Once you've established full vision control here, you can rotate from the turrets back to the Baron and look for fights or the objective.
Everything outside of the Liquid base has now been demolished by TSM. Complete control over the game, complete control over the map. Seeing some wards coming down from them in that top part of the jungle, setting up for the Baron. It is the logical next play. You've already got one inhibitor down, so all that extra pressure is going to make life very hard for Liquid.
And one of the nice things about actually staying up in this topside jungle for a long time, if TSM can maintain control, is even if you don't catch every ward, you know that eventually they will expire. And there's no way that they can actually have the vision around there. So now that the Rift Scuttler has expired by Baron, they know there's no vision down around there, multiple pinks blocking the entrances. TSM can certainly threaten that objective.
Team Liquid trying to find a way to hold on in this game, but when you look at the score line of everybody on the team, when you look at the CS count of everybody on the team, it's Doublelift versus the world right now. And we've mentioned how there's no real protective measures. I mean, Zyra's not a Lulu, there's no exhaust, there's no way to stop this TSM pain train from just cruising into Doublelift Station. What are you gonna do?
Not much, I don't think, especially with double Infernal now on TSM. The best snowballing dragon, they have 2 of them. Doublelift looking for a little bit of a pick here, but
setting up in the brush, but we're not going to see any of those Ezreal brush plays in game number 2. This is not the kind of game where you can just jump forward into the enemy team. Doublelift going to have to pull out everything here if he wants to try to hold on for his team. TSM hanging around the Baron pit, more and more vision being established. You can see pings from Team Liquid into that area saying, look, we can't just give this away for free.
Yeah, they definitely can, and Bio actually pretty low there from the Baron, plus the 2-shot barrage coming out of Doublelift. Almost got taken down, so they are trying to at least maintain some semblance of control of vision around there and not allow TSM to have an easy Baron, because, you know, if TSM does get frustrated, if TL can stall out long enough, we have seen a lot of teams get to this point where they're just like, we just have to do the Baron. And if you do go for a poor Baron, even with a big gold lead, you can throw the game.
It's the big purple throw machine. It's one of the only ways to lose a locked-away game. That's what Baron can do if it's not done properly. But TSM right now, they're playing it patient, they're playing it right. They're not making any sort of those mistakes just yet. Doublelift potentially in some trouble here. Biofrost with some damage over the wall. TSM putting themselves in a position of power. Zoning Doublelift away off to the side. Bjergsen, always such a huge threat on this Vladimir. Doublelift trying to shift forward, grabbing a lot of damage onto Turtle, making him pop the heal. Now the Enchanted Crystal Arrow back out onto Lorlo, looking to burst down the tank as Hauntzer goes for Doublelift. Rainover going to be grabbing the kill onto Turtle. D-Lift going to be brought down, though nobody's there to save him. Hauntzer grabbing the kill. It's a 2-for-1, but Liquid lost their big player.
Yeah, Renekton with that flash up, almost no way to escape him. Bjergsen's still alive, looking to chase down some kills.
Trying to go after Piglet. Hemoplague going to be applied. Piglet walking away. Loses about half his remaining HP, down very, very low. Svenskeren looking for an opportunity, looking for an angle. Piglet backing in a somewhat dangerous spot, but TSM's not going to be able to punish that this time.
TSM's going to go for the inhibitor, though. I mean, they can go right for this mid lane turret because the super minions are there, because they have their core 3 still alive. and they'll likely clean up another inhibitor.
Yeah, they lost their bot lane. That's the lane that actually is not doing a lot this game. The 3 members that are running away with the game are running right into the inhib. Haunts are going to be dashing himself back. Lorlo forced to flash away, right back into the fight with the dredge line. Svenskeren trying to provide some peel. Bjergsen still going to be taken lower, gets himself out of the roots, utilizing the pool. Svenskeren in full retreat with the rest of his TSM teammates. They aren't able to claim the inhib, but they get out no punish.
Yeah, they get some gold there. Critically, TL does defend the mid lane inhibitor, as their bottom one is respawning here too. So some of the pressure is going to be relieved now. And Piglet actually grabbed that blue buff, so nicely done by him.
Svenskeren trying to take that on the way out, but not quite going to be finding it. Still pretty happy with the way things have played out, though. TSM with 2 exposed inhibitors in the enemy base. They know they can force a fight on those at any point. If that's what they want to do, they can go for Baron. There's a lot of options on the table.
And I seriously would like them to send Haunter over, pressure those side waves and group us forward. But here is the play again. A Wild Turtle getting chunked out so heavily, but just track Haunter in this fight on Doublelift. You know, when he flashes onto Doublelift, there's almost nothing Doublelift can do. Instant QSS, flash heal away. Haunter is just so strong and has the additional move speed. He can get on top of him. You need Peel to deal with a super fed Renekton like this, and they just don't have it in position in that fight.
Yeah, Doublelift was forced to run off to the side. He couldn't just retreat straight backwards because TSM was already there, so TSM just putting him in a spot where there was no winning play. And unfortunately, the closest thing to a winning play still got him killed, so Doublelift going to have to be getting that VIP treatment from the rest of the team if he wants his fate to change in these upcoming fights.
It also gets super tough because not only did Haunter get the really early 2 offensive items, but he's actually continued to snowball. So he has a lot of tankiness, a lot of defense in his kit now too. And he's going to be able to push up, force this inhibitor. If another member does not come, he will take the inhibitor solo.
Yeah.
So TL now has to force back to base, then TSM can establish priority around Baron.
Even if Haunter is just hitting this thing the entire time and Lorlo's wailing on him, he can't bring him down before the inhib will fall.
Yeah, there's no chance.
Yeah, Haunter not even remotely concerned with what Lorlo's trying to do. Grabs the inhib for free. Liquid trying to get back in time, but now TSM has made their way into the mid lane as well. 2 inhibitors going to be going down. No contest.
Here they go.
Weaver's Wall comes in, but it doesn't catch anyone out. Reignover with the ulti. Piglet's going to be ulted. TSM looking to lock this game away. Turtle's going to be bursted down, barely giving himself alive. Finds the kill into Reignover. 3 dead for Liquid. Make it 4. Only Doublelift stands, and TSM is taking this to game 3.
They're going to tie it up here. We have a series.
We got ourselves a good one, Azael. TSM, they were like, Liquid had a convincing game number 1. Let us show you what convincing means. 10,000 gold lead, 29 minutes into the game. Neither game so far ticking that 30 mark, and we're heading to the final match.
I like how everyone on TSM taking a little chance at diving Doublelift there at the end, too.
It's about sending a message, Azael. The Nexus blowing up, that's not what matters. Doublelift looking at a gray screen, that's the goal.
Not even the well is safe at the end there.
Not even the fountain is going to protect you from this. TSM with a strong game number 2.
And they needed that. I mean, they need to be able to battle back in a series like this. They're playing a team at the bottom of the standings. They're fighting for the first place seed in playoffs. They're not just trying to win this series. They should be trying to dominate this series and establish their playoff form because, you know, if you're making mistakes like they did in game 1 against a top-tier team, if it's a close series, you can just lose off that.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be a close series at all. We've talked about TSM as the number 1 team. You're always in control of your own destiny, right? The only way you drop in the standings is if you lose games. You're not depending on, oh, I need this other team to lose or I need this other team to win. It's all up to you. And TSM should see this as a very doable win.
Yeah, certainly. And I think that they played this game very well. They played to their strengths. Their solo laners were incredible. I think Svenskeren did a good job, you know, getting them ahead as well, you know, getting first blood top lane, moving and helping Bjergsen. So I think not only did they get ahead, but they closed it out pretty well.
Let's take a look at the final fight that actually did seal the fate of Team Liquid in this second game.
And this is a tough one. I mean, TL is going to try to force simply because they know they can't delay. Their base is already bleeding out, but they're so far behind at this point. With Haunter in the backline, Bjergsen in the backline, it almost doesn't even matter if Wild Turtle goes down, and he stays alive too, so there's just no real chance for TL to take that fight.
Yeah, Turtle did a good job keeping himself alive, getting rid of Reignover, winning that kind of 1v1 isolated instance. But speaking of isolated instances, one big problem that Liquid had throughout that whole game was the fact that Matt and Piglet were dying a lot, they were dying alone, and they're part of the reason that Haunter became this huge monster.
I mean, Haunter, I think, just did a fantastic job extending his lead this game, moving around the map. Once he was already winning, he takes first turret. He's like, okay, you've stalled me out of the second. Well, guess what? I can move around the map. I can still have success, have presence out here on the map. And Haunter asserting that dominance, taking down multiple solo kills against the solo laner, picking up easy kills on the support, and even later in the game, taking on a 1v3 and trading back a kill.
Game number 2 was just not the kind of changes that Liquid needed to make compared to what they did in game number 1 based on their adaptations to win this. Obviously, protect the double lift worked in game number 1. Olaf worked in game number 1. Game number 2, Lulu was banned away, Olaf was banned away. They couldn't exactly run the same thing again, but there were still a lot of evident problems for Team Liquid.
Yeah, I mean, even in game 1, there certainly were some problems. Piglet was very far behind in the lead in game 1 as well, but it didn't matter because Reignover and Doublelift were so far ahead that they could make up for it. Doublelift actually played very well. The bot lane for TL in general crushed lane again. I think that they did extremely well. They got a 2v2 kill. They killed their turret first. If you look at the damage between Ezreal and Ashe, Turtle had trouble getting involved whatsoever this game.
Yeah.
Obviously, it is tough against a Rengar and so on and so forth, but still, you know, they were playing well, but Piglet was really struggling. Top lane was a bit of a disaster, and Reignover never got going.
Reignover never got going. He never had a chance to get going. Svenskeren on the Lee was stealing away his jungle camps. He was making plays. You saw the dives onto Piglet early on. And I mean, Piglet was struggling. And then the dive happens mid lane. He gets knocked away. He gets killed. And Bjergsen just had this easy setup. So did Haunter the entire game.
Yeah, he certainly did. And I think that TSM also deserves a lot of credit for their early game planning. Their wardings, both around the Wraith, which is a very common one, but then the delayed ward at the Golems to anticipate some sort of an unusual route from Reignover, spotting him out and being able to track him in the early game is super important because Reignover is one of the junglers that mixes up his jungle routes most often, and sometimes can get big advantages off that.
Yeah, if you can always stay one step ahead of them, always be winning the mind game, that's a huge part of the match that you're now in control of. And all of a sudden, these guys don't really have a way out. Now, I got to wonder, as we're going into this third and final game between these two, do you think we're going to see anything really crazy? Because there's always the opportunity. I don't know. I feel like if you've got something tucked up your sleeve, week number 9 is the time to pull it out.
Yeah, I think it's worth a shot. I mean, you can try. If they will give you the protect the AD carry comp, I think you take it as TL. If they won't, I think it's fair to try to ban out the carry top laners, pick Fiora into a tank matchup or something like that for Lorlo, and look for a crazy snowball win.
Well, hopefully game number 3 will live up to the rest of this series because I don't think anybody was actually expecting at the beginning of today for this to go to all 3 games, but that is where it's headed, Azael. Meet us back here in a few minutes.